Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
I'm Josh.
It's been a while.
Hi, buddy.
I don't even remember when the last time we recorded. Was it with Matt? Was that the last one?
It was. That was fun.
It was fun. So I had a thought about that. Just go ahead and get to this. I was going to get to it later. The Mandalorian got bananas.
It did.
Last episode.
We were late getting that episode out by like 2 weeks, and so
Yeah.
by the time people heard it, that information was already not outdated, but
Yeah.
we should have spoke more.
So, well, that's leading to me what I was thinking. I say the week after the last episode, which is 2 more weeks of, I guess, this week and next week, we have Matt on again, and we talk about the whole season, just like not recap the stuff we didn't before, or the stuff we already talked about, but like the last half of the season is crazy. And I feel like there's a lot there, so we should have him back on. I haven't talked to him about it, but...
Well, I don't know if he wants to talk about Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
He seemed pretty bored.
Yeah, he was bored. I was talking to the Maker Alliance last night. We had our monthly hangout. And a lot of the guys that were in there were saying that was one of their favorite episodes of this show. Which, maybe we should...
Because there's other people.
Get Matt
other
on here
people
instead of
hosted
us.
the show. We pretty much relinquished control of our own podcast to him. So that's saying something.
So I'm here to announce we're going to sell No Instructions to Matt. He doesn't know it yet. He's not, committed to paying for it, but we're going to sell it to him for
$425.
$1 million. Anyway, we'll talk to Matt and see if he wants to be on again, because I think it would be fun to kind of... I have a feeling that the next 2 episodes are going to really amp everything up emotionally and action-wise, and I think it's just going to keep going, as Matt would say, ratcheting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because, man, I don't want to go into it, but the tragedy was the perfect title for that episode.
How did you feel just by seeing the tragedy?
I was like, oh, it's going to get bad. I just knew it was going to get bad. And I wasn't sure for whom, with whom.
To whom it may be tragic.
I think it was for whom it was going to be tragic. But I didn't know, how it was going to play out. But somebody's going to have a really bad deal. Turned out everybody had a bad deal.
Yeah. Except for Boba Fett.
That's true.
Spoiler.
Yep.
Whoopsies. Boba Fett's in this episode.
Yep.
And I will make my declaration publicly right now.
All right.
Boba Fett redeemed him. Boba Fett lived up to the hype in this one 45-minute episode compared to the entire rest of the Star Wars universe. That made Boba Fett worthy of the praise that people give him.
Yeah. I mean, they intentionally did that for sure. They really made sure to give him the spotlight that everybody has always wanted him to have, to justify him, which I think was really smart on their part. It was good. It was cool. It was good
now,
to
do
see
you
him
think it was... Knowing the, Patton Oswalt did the filibuster on Parks and Rec, where you see the tattered hand of Boba Fett emerge from the Sarlacc pit. As someone who really likes Boba Fett, how do you respond to that redemption versus seeing him climb out of the thing as a lot of people wanted?
Oh, I don't think we'd need to see him climb out. That's just...
Okay.
Yeah, he had a jetpack on. He probably just blasted out. He didn't climb out. He flew out. As soon as he burped and
He looked pretty messed up.
they were all done. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure the acid was getting under his clothes and stuff, but Luke and his buddies are all like, cool, we defeated let's fly home, and they're gone, and then it's quiet in the desert, and all of a sudden pew, he shoots out covered in snot and Sarlacc goo.
A lot of people in the Maker Alliance did note that we need to take our Razor Crest Lego set that we just finished building and
blow it up,
smash it on the floor.
Yeah, there's a big thing right now about the Lego sets and the Hasbro.
That Hasbro set?
Yeah, which is, man.
That we talked about on here.
Yeah, I was there. I was on the buy page going, I mean, I don't need it. I know I don't need it. It's $350. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't have a place to put it. It's it's a habit that I need to not indulge, of just buying cool things that don't have a purpose.
Maybe they'll destroy it in the next episode.
Dang it, I totally should have bought that, because that thing is just going to go up in price.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It was limited to begin with.
Yeah.
Now it's going to become, its use and recognizability is limited now. So it's a piece. It's done. unless he happens to find another one in a junkyard. I think if we want to get into a little, obviously we spoil all.
Yeah,
this
we
stuff.
spoiled the mess out of
Sorry.
this. And if it upsets you, I apologize. Turn around, find somebody who has a Disney Plus account, hack it, and watch the show.
Yeah, you should know that we're gonna spoil stuff like this. By the way, anyway,
get so excited.
I'm pretty sure. My prediction is that at the end of this season, Boba Fett will die, and the Mandalorian will take over. Whether it's like given to him or he just kind of picks it up and flies off with it, he's gonna get Slave One. And I said that at the beginning of the season. I don't know if I said it on here, but I said
I thought when it was it would be on Tatooine that he could just go take it.
Yeah, I was like, I bet by the end of the season, Din's gonna have it. I don't know.
But again, I guess a little close to home, the Mandalorian blaster was theoretically also in the Razor Crest. So not only did we make the Razor Crest, we made the blaster. So what other things could we possibly have made that Disney just blew up in a single moment?
I mean, if they destroy the Darksaber at the end of the season. Somehow.
Oh, crap. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There's going to be like one shore trooper that's left, and they're just going to like melt his armor with some spit from some space monster.
Did you ever notice that in the first season, one of his initial shoulder pads were? Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool.
I thought his gloves are the shore trooper gloves.
Oh, the panels on the back?
Yeah, they have little triangles on them.
Could be. Well, anyway, we won't go too hard into The Mandalorian because I would like to talk with Matt about it. But I'm super happy with this season and where they're taking it. And, I'm looking forward to where it's going to go in the future for sure. Mm-hmm. Another TV update, a couple TV updates, because that's what people tune in for us to talk about TV. That was sarcasm, in case you weren't sure. We finished the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
And so I think when we talked about it on here, I was in maybe season 2, which meant that Kevin, what?
How do these seats go on
They go
here?
off. They're not centered. They go off to the sides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Lego aside, pardon.
I think I was in season 2. So Kevin was in 8th grade.
Okay.
Something like that. So the series goes to where he's in, I think in the final season, he's in 11th grade. And in the last episode, they kind of talk about the future past that, but they don't really show anything else. So Kevin's a turd.
Okay.
He's a turd. And I knew he was a turd from the beginning, but he was a 7th grade turd. And so I was thinking, well, he's going to mature over the course of this show because it's all about like him figuring stuff out and everything. He's just a butt like the entire time. And we found ourselves every single episode going, man, Kevin, like we would say it out loud to each other, like, oh, he's doing the thing again, where he's like absolutely selfish. He's still learning his stuff. There's still really good lessons, I think, in a lot of the episodes. But man, like, what a punk. He's like so selfish, so quick to be angry, so quick to just, I don't know. We got to the end of it, I'm like, he's a pretty disappointing character. He had moments where he was, he did better and he learned and got better at stuff, but I don't know. It was weird. It's got a little disappointing. The show itself is still really good. I think there's a lot of great lessons that it gives about growing up and about families and stuff like that, but I don't know. I was disappointed in him as a character. We got to the end of it. Looking back, I'm like, I kind of expected more from this guy, growing up, but anyway, so we're done with that, and then we moved on to Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso was such a good show.
So the preface here is that the language is horrible in it, but it doesn't bother me. But
it's like if you have a show that
watch it
takes
with
place
kids. That's
in
what I'm saying.
England,
Yeah,
like they're gonna. I assume I've only been to England probably a handful of times and don't have any real personal connections to a lot of people, but just every other word is going to be a curse word.
yeah. And the show is like that.
Yeah.
But it's
It's imagine what a bunch of professional soccer players would talk like in a locker room, because that's basically where the show takes place.
Yeah. But the thing that's funny, we both said it was really good. The thing that's funny about that is that the show, if anybody that doesn't know, it's about this British football league, the soccer league, that hires an American amateur football coach.
Oh, he's a college football coach, but he's not
right.
like a 1A, so he's like a lower ranking or a lower status college football coach, and they won that lower status championship.
Right. So they hire him, and I'm not going to get into like why they hire him or how it plays out or anything. You should watch it because it's an excellent show. But the thing about his character is that he is just a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's so weird.
To his detriment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In the show.
But it's weird that there is a show that is extremely well produced, is extremely popular, has
the
huge
writing
actors
is
in it,
really good,
and it's made about a guy who's not like a secret murderer or
has some
whatever.
Like demons in his closet. Like, no, he's just a nice guy.
He's a good guy, and he's like
it catches people off.
His whole goal is to improve the place that he is.
And people don't
about
get
soccer,
it.
And it's kind of
people
about
think
soccer.
he has an angle.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to purposely use him to make him look dopey, and it just turns around on those people because it's not an act.
Right.
They're trying to catch him, like in some weird gotcha situations, and he's just a nice person.
Yeah, it's a good show, and we have 2 episodes left in the. I think it's 10 episodes in the first season or something like that.
I don't remember, but you have to watch it on Apple TV Plus. So if you have a subscription to that, which I don't know anybody who like willfully bought one, but I got a new iPhone, so I got a subscription for a year for free. So that's the only reason why I know of Ted Lasso.
Same for me. Yeah, that's the only reason I would not have paid for it as a service. But
Forby recommended it, and it's very good. That was a great recommendation.
Yep, and they've already
Jason Sudeikis. Jason Sudeikis is an all around funny person.
Oh yeah,
and imagine Jason Sudeikis like being crude and funny. Now he's being like comedically nice.
Yeah,
and genuine, and still like quick witted and very snappy with his remarks, but just not vulgar.
He has the draw in his speech of someone, the stereotypical Southern kind of not super on it person.
He's being a stereotype.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But behind it, the way that he deals with the people through that persona, through that voice and everything is just sharp and kind, and it's very, very good. They already renewed it for 2 more seasons.
Oh, wow.
They renewed, I think the day that they announced the 2nd season, I think like 2 or 3 days later, they announced a 3rd or something like that. Like, it was really quick. They hadn't started shooting it or anything yet, which makes me think we have 3 seasons of story. If you go ahead and approve like the other, then we'll wrap it up or something like that. So I don't think it's something
that's a lot of story because it seemed like it had pretty good resolution.
I haven't gotten to the end yet, so I'm not
as
really sure,
a single season.
Yeah.
Or in England, they call a season a series. But
true. Yeah.
It's really good, and it's not one that like where you start watching it and it purposely leaves you on a cliffhanger. Like it has really good resolution,
and so far,
the same as the show would suggest that it would.
Right. It's also one of those because it's only 10. It's not where like if you get through the first 5 episodes, it starts getting really good. It's not like that.
No, it's just good.
It's just good from the very beginning. So good recommendation there on Forby's part. You guys been watching anything else or seen any good movies or anything like that?
No, because we've been on vacation the last week. We went down to Florida for Thanksgiving, and the TV really didn't get turned on very much. It was really good. Spent time with my family. This was the first time that my dad, my brother, my sister, and I have been together since my mom passed away in 2009.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because my brother's in the Navy, so all of our schedules lining up. Like his wife's family lives in a different state. My sister just got married, so like all of us were together. We rented a beach house, so it was a nice little quarantine bubble for all of us. Everybody was extremely cautious. My brother's kids stay at home. So it was, for us, the perfect little Venn diagram of an acceptable family gathering in a destination. All the things that we would normally go do, we did not do. I wear my McGuire's hat when I don't have on this blue in here. It's a place that I love, close to my heart. It's a restaurant that I've been to many, many times. We didn't go. And I know that's like, oh, God, what was you didn't go to a steakhouse. But, like, on my wife's side, a lot of the people are not so cautious. And so we had to make the decision not to go see a lot of her family. And they were mad. They were mad at us. And that's fine. They can be mad at us because we're going to be responsible. We can either not go at all, or we can go in the safest way. We can make smart little decisions the entire time, and we did. And The day after, about 2 days after we got back, we went and got COVID tested, and we all came back negative. So we did it right. And people can get mad at us for doing it right. And that's fine. That's a selfish thing on them. We had a good time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the going to Papa John's?
No.
With the good dude in the mask? I, so far, have not had any have not seen any, vocal opposition to being safe and being considerate of other people. You know, you occasionally will see people in a store that are not wearing a mask these days, and that's disappointing, but I've never seen anybody doing it's infringing on my rights or whatever. I went to pick up Papa John's and went to the store. I usually have it delivered, but we've had trouble with that lately. So I go, and there's a guy, and their little inside place that you can go is as big as this table. It's tiny. It's like a door. You walk in, you're at the counter,
Papa John's is not a sit down eat.
No.
It's not Pizza
So it's like
Hut.
a tiny little
You're just
place.
picking up and leaving.
And so there was a guy in there at the counter, so I stayed outside. And then a guy walked up behind me. We were both outside, 6 feet away from each other. We both had masks on. And I'm looking at the back of this dude's head inside the thing. He's waiting because the lady behind the counter is on the phone. And so waits for a long time. I'm starting to get all right, I just want to go in there and pick my stuff up, And so finally she looks up at him, and she's talking, and he starts waving his head, waving his arms, and then turns around and slams the door open, and I was out of the way, but he walks out, no mask, walks out in my face and goes, I don't remember what he said, but it was something like, that junk in there is stupid. And he was mad at me or wanted me to be mad with him or something. And I was like, huh. And just walked right past him inside. Because I know it was about, she told him, we're not going to serve you because you don't have a mask on. And he threw a fit. And he was a young guy. He looks like he had just gotten out of the deer blind. I mean, he was in full camo. He probably just came to pick up some pizza. I don't think he was wishing bad on anybody. But, I was proud of a lady that worked at Papa John's for standing up to somebody who was just being, frustrated
selfish
with the way it was or whatever. But that was the first kind of I don't know, somebody speaking out as a way I think this is dumb that I've seen. I know it's out there, but that I've actually seen. And it was weird. I don't know. Because I guess I've settled into, everybody's probably kind of on board for the most part now, but that's not the case still. So.
Well, we were down in Florida. My wife and I are both from the Destin, Florida area, so if people are familiar with there, that's where we were. There's a big shopping center, and then there's some outlet malls. My brother geared up and went to the Bass Pro Shop that was down there because he wanted this one specific fishing lure that he couldn't get where he lives. So he walks in with his mask, and the greeter person that's outside the little turnstile was like, "Oh man, you don't have to wear that thing in here." And he just looked at him. He's like, "What?" He's like, "No, it's fine. You don't have to put that thing on." And he got mad and turned around and left. It's not that nobody went Black Friday shopping, but it was a couple days after he and my sister-in-law went out to go again to this one store, and it's the exact same thing. They walked in, and these people were like, "Oh, you don't have to wear that in here."
That's so wild.
They're like, "What? Why would you actively dissuade people or condone?"
Yeah.
condone them being safe. You're trying to dissuade people from protecting themselves. I don't get that logic.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't understand. But it made me go, okay, great. Then I have no reason to go in any of these stores down here because just the mentality is frustrating. And I had a conversation with my wife last night because around January time, she and a bunch of other ladies go out to this campground and go to these cabins. She's like, we can't do any of that stuff this year. And she's over it. She's super over it. And I completely understand. I'm like, well, if we can convince you don't have to wear that mask in here, people, that, why not? Why would you not?
Just because you don't have to doesn't
exactly.
mean you shouldn't. I mean,
I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. But that same thing that you were talking about at Papa John's happened this morning. I went to Tractor Supply to go pick up some stuff for a future project. And this guy that had a big trailer attached to his truck. It looked like landscaping. And he was on crutches for some reason. Walked into Tractor Supply on crutches. And it was early in the morning, and there was like an old lady behind the register and then like a guy stocking shelves or whatever. And so like he comes in and he just sits down on the little platform right in front of the lady's register, like off of the ground with his butt like on the place where you would like set your goods, and then she would beep scan them. He's like sits down on the thing, has no mask on, and she's just staring at him. This like older lady, kind of dumbfounded. And he's like, "Oh, so-and-so knows what I need." And so like the stock guy comes out with like this big cart full of like feed and some soil or something, and I'm just looking at this dude and I'm like, what gumption you have, like what just brazen arrogance. Not only just, oh, you don't want to wear a mask during the pandemic because of whatever reasons, sure, which are garbage, but like, I'm just gonna sit my butt on this thing in front of a lady that's not a chair. I understand that you're on crutches, but when you look around and you're like, oh, maybe on top of her little checkout register is where I need to put my buttocks with my dirty sweatpants. And it's in that moment that I try not to be judgmental about people, but at the same time I go, I do not understand people. Like, I don't understand somebody's fundamental difference in logic. And it's something that they absolutely hold true. And it's, at one point it's really frustrating, and at another angle it's really fascinating. That I don't think, this is being judgmental, I don't think I could like go out into the parking lot like, excuse me, sir, like, can I buy you coffee? And then you just like tell me the reasons that you do certain things. Like, can I interview you just about your personality so I could hope to understand something that I might not understand? And I don't know if that would actually happen. The dude seemed like he had places to go. I don't know who is going to be on the other side of whatever job he's going to that's going to have to deal with all that stuff, because homeboy's on crutches and he's definitely not lifting all that. But the people at the store, or just I want to know like the heart of the issue, the thought process, like where that fundamental disbelief or belief in a cause, where does it come from, and why are you so hung on to it? Because maybe there's something I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it would change my perception of something. Or I doubt that people who are steadfast in not wearing masks right now during pandemic would be very receptive to the other side of the coin, because it's not like they haven't heard it.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to me in a way that someone can just be so brazenly rebellious against something that has no real hardship ramifications.
Well, I think actually you said that they've heard it. That may be part of the problem. And I think this is, maybe we talk about something other than the pandemic stuff, but I think a lot of times what we being anybody, think is obvious and common knowledge and logical has possibly never been presented in those ways to someone else. And so it's easy for me to look at tons of situations and say, well, obviously this is, like, why don't you see it the way I see it? I'm not being like a bully about it, but it's just really obvious. This is truth. Why do you not look at truth? Now, somebody who maybe doesn't believe what I believe as far as faith could look at me the exact same way.
Yep.
An atheist could look at me and say, why do you think that? It's so obviously not true. And I can't fault them for that.
Right.
Because they have a set of experiences and a set of interactions and a set of life things that have informed the way they feel about that particular subject. I have different of those components that inform the way I look at that subject. So, I mean, from the same thing, I could go to somebody about my faith and say, like, why don't you see it the way I see it? Well, maybe they've never been exposed to it. Even if they've heard the words, even if they have, I don't know, they've run into people who think differently than they do. It doesn't necessarily mean they've been fully exposed to it. And I wonder if, as siloed as our media has become and the way that we put ourselves in bubbles around our own thought processes and stuff, especially in social media, but even in like news media and things that should be a little more objective, I wonder if a lot of times different groups of people just get so sheltered that there are certain things that seem really obvious to everyone else that they just never come in contact with. And I'm not saying these people have never heard about masks or why it's important, but maybe not to the same degree that we have. You know what I mean? There is... it's easy to transfer our own experiences onto other people and then not understand why they don't feel the same way we do. And that's probably not fair.
Again, I agree. I agree to that for a lot of reasons. And I want to ask people why.
Yeah.
But I think people not having the same core of experience or not being around a thing that is just so open and common to everybody else. As a Southerner, like, I could see people having that same thought process about race. Mm-hmm. Like, my experience was different. I grew up on a military base. So everybody around me was every different creed or culture, or their mother or grandmother couldn't speak English very well. And it was commonplace. And then to move around the country and be around places that are just a bunch of white people. Like, I don't purposely go seek out neighborhoods where there's a whole bunch of white people, just it seems that way. Or going to a church where there's like not a lot of people of different color. Like that, it bothers me because I've seen the difference.
Right.
But like my kids, they go to a homeschool community, and I think there's a couple kids of color. And that bothers me. But I'm like, well, would I take them and go like, we're going to go find some black kids for you to hang out with?
Yeah.
And so that feels wrong, and I think that whole concept is wrong. But just like educating people about there is an entire world that exists that you don't know about. And just because you choose not to acknowledge it doesn't mean that it's not there.
Yeah.
And so I am a huge proponent of traveling and seeing something that makes you question the little things that you knew about life. And Mark Twain has the quote about like racism or prejudice is the bane of like the untraveled man or something to that effect. Again, don't quote me. I'm not a historian, but I don't want to typecast like the people who are in my rural Southern communities as the problem, because maybe they choose like my wife's family. A lot of them are from the same very rural country conservative area, and they purposely choose not to go anywhere else. And they turn their nose up at anything that doesn't necessarily agree with the way that things have always been in their community. And that bothers me wholeheartedly. That we have traveled from, when we lived in Seattle, we would travel from there down to Florida where they live. Or we lived in Europe to travel down to there. And just things that we see on a day-to-day basis that are not a big deal, or that is just a fundamental way of life, they don't understand, or they look at as a threat to the way that they've always grown up. And that's just like a sad way of living, just to think that everything is against you or against their thought processes. And it's really selfish. And I think that's what's getting me the most, is it seems overly selfish. And the way that my wife's family responded to us in text messages while we were down there, like that was the overwhelming frustration I had, was that is a selfish way of thinking. And if you're at Papa John's and it says, put a mask on when you come in here, because the governor says this, because it's the right thing to do in this particular moment so we can finally get over this thing. And you're like, no, I don't want to. Like, there's a pronoun in there that's underlined, and it's this extremely selfish one.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't get. And I would like somebody to, in a perfectly reasonable dialogue, like explain to me, and I will try to be as unbiased as I possibly can be, because I would like to think that I love debate and I love exchanging ideas with people who think differently and who have different core experiences than I do. I love doing that because I want to learn and I want to grow as a human. So if, again, I think selfish has a negative connotation. If that isolated point of view, if everything has an I in it, please explain to me why. Because is there something I'm overlooking? Is there some factual, non-deep state, whatever thing like happening that I'm unaware of? Because I like your faith, I like my faith. We try to spread it because we feel it's right, and it would be wrong of us to not tell people the thing that we think is correct. Like, it would be withholding truth from someone.
Yeah.
So if there's truth that I don't know, please don't withhold it. Please tell me about it in a calm, reasonable dialogue.
Yeah, I don't think it's as processed on a lot of people. And I think racism is the same way. I think a lot of times people just, that's, like you were saying, that's what they've known, that's what they're used to. Anything else is a threat, not because they have a good reason for it. No one can actually justify racism, right? I mean, even if they have justifications for it, they can't justify it. So I don't think it's like where you could sit down and have that conversation, and would their justifications for something that you don't agree with are not going to make you agree with it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like even if they felt they could justify something in their mind, I think it would be really difficult to have that go over to you. Now, the thing about the difference in this particular case about racism and the COVID stuff is that for years, centuries, we've been able to, as a people, look at that person over there and be like, man, they are super racist. As long as they don't, if we can stop them from owning people, and we can stop them from killing people, and we can stop them from doing these things, I guess they can go on being racist, because if we can stop their effect on other people, then they can think whatever they want, which I disagree with. I think there's still problems with it, but I think that's been the mentality.
Oh, just like allowing passive bigotry and passive racism?
Yeah, like I think we have gotten to where like, okay, let's put some laws in place to protect these people as much as we can who are being affected by racism. And that's what we can do, because the rest of the problem is in their heart. Okay? The difference with COVID is like that person is like affecting the actual lives, the lifespan of people, not certain people, not the group of people that they don't like anybody they come in contact with. So it's not like, well, it's okay, you and I don't have to agree on this thing, just don't own people. It's not like that. It's like, if we don't agree on this, then you are actively putting you and everybody that you come in contact with during a pandemic at risk of death. And I'm not trying to overblow it, but like, I don't know. This stuff matters, and I don't want to preach to people or anything. The people listening are probably not even the people that this would go to and have any sort of effect, but it's just bizarre when you think about the decisions that you make on a daily basis and how, for the most part, all the stuff we do does not affect people around us. Maybe has like slight nudges to people. You know, we can affect someone's mood, or we can, you know, make somebody late for something or whatever. But like, we don't have the effect of, I don't know. Drunk driving is a thing that you can do that seems very selfish, but can have a massive fallout on the people around you. And I think you have to kind of look at this type of decision making in that same way. Like, there's a good chance you can get in a car drunk and not hurt anybody. But if that's not the case, then someone's dead. I think it's a big deal. Same thing for a mask. There's a good chance you can walk around without a mask and nobody's ever going to be affected by you and you're not going to get sick and whatever. But what if? It's so stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't even want to talk about this. I don't know how we got here, but it's a big deal. I was proud to see somebody stand up. The whole point at the beginning of that story was I was proud, even though I had not run into it yet, to see somebody stand up to somebody and just say, look, this is the way we're doing business. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be here.
Yep.
She wasn't being rude. She wasn't being pushy or mean about it. But the reaction of that person said a lot to me.
See, but then that person is now in their mind.
That guy wasn't like, well, you know, you're right. That is posted on the outside. I probably should have gone by the rules. His response was, well, this is stupid and I didn't get what I wanted. Like that. You're reinforcing the entire thing.
And now that person can be the victim in their mind.
Yeah, and that's a shame. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know. I didn't want to talk about that in the first place. Let's talk about something more fun. You got anything? Christmas is
coming up. Yeah, Jake. That should be fun, right? That should theoretically be fun.
Now, you told me that you bought Christmas decorations, and I know historically you don't like to decorate for Christmas.
I don't. Boo. I'm okay. I don't like to.
I think we talked about this last year.
Probably, and we're probably going to talk about it next year if that's a thing.
Yep.
But yes, I purchased a bunch. Well, in my mind, a bunch. Probably not in Anthony's mind or any other non-humbuggery metric. Some Christmas decorations, and like I don't want this to be a big thing. I just don't see the utility in it, and That's the way that I have lived my life most of the way. Like, if the cost-benefit ratio to putting up Christmas decorations has never really been in my favor. So the last time I think I decorated the outside of my house was 2007, maybe, probably. And it was only because my really good friend lived down the street, and he like Griswolded his house. And he was like, "Oh, do you want me to come over and help you do yours?" I was like, no, it's good." And then
he's like, "Oh, so you hate Christmas, huh?"
Tiff saw it, and she was like, "Oh man, we can do this." And like, she loves Christmas, and Christmas in my house was not that it was bad. I mean, it's just, I can't describe my relationship with Christmas. It always seemed not contentious. It seemed,
what's your favorite holiday?
Frivolous.
Thanksgiving's your favorite holiday?
4th of July.
4th of July.
4th of July, man.
Okay.
I love Thanksgiving too.
Gotcha.
But 4th of July, hands down. But Christmas, like, I don't like getting presents. I don't like somebody going like, "Hey, I got you something." You're like, "Oh yeah, what is it?"
I know what I'm doing this year.
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, "Well, why? That seems mean." You're like, "Because I want to see the look on your face." I'm like, "Well, you see the look on my face right now." Like, the manager needs to see you. About what? Well, just come on and I'll tell you. No.
Am I getting fired?
Don't do that to me. That's a thing that like I really don't like. And so Christmas is, the tree looks pretty. I like to sit back and watch my family decorate the thing. I helped this year decorate the tree because my smallest kids just put them in like a 1 foot diameter circle and just clump them all together like a wart on the tree.
The reach is small.
So it's I'm growing out of my humbuggery. And everybody is in on it. So I bought them. I haven't put them up yet because we're working on our laundry room. Did some tile. I added wallpaper for the first time in my house. So we have projects that are ongoing, so I can delay all of that to like some time
next year?
in the future. But yeah, my wife really loves Christmas, and since we've been married for the last 50 years, however long we've been married, like, she has slowly like made me enjoy certain elements of Christmas time. I'm that guy with the trash bag that's like, "Put your paper in the trash bag. Put your paper. No. Don't throw it over there. Put your paper in the bag. Keep all of your stuff together." I'm that anal retentive, ridiculous person nobody wants to be around on Christmas Day.
Well, at least you know it.
Yeah. I mean, you would think it'd be like, acknowledgement is the first step toward getting better. I mean, I think it's better than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, so when you were growing up, it just wasn't a big part of your family?
I mean, we had it. My mom was the party planner. My mom was the one who got everybody together. She was the one that was excited about putting forth all of that effort for really just our own internal excitement.
Yeah.
And that internal excitement level was never really that high because of all of the work. And so, like, we never really had, like, big Christmas get-togethers. So for Christmas Eve at my house, I have a big Christmas Eve get-together. Not this year, obviously, but I make a spectacle of it. So that forces me to prepare, to get in the mood, to make all of that stuff worth it so that we can have that time together with our friends and family. But growing up, like, I remember getting gifts from my mom. Oh, man, my mom. I love my mom so much. She was the most insane gift giver. And for the, like, "I got you something." And I'm like, okay, maybe it'll be cool. I can bide my time. And I open it up and it's like, "You got season 4 of Speed Racer on DVD." And I'm like, what is this? How about a glow-in-the-dark Tasmanian Devil t-shirt when you're 17? I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, not only did you just miss the mark in my mind, you made me wait with irritated anticipation for you to miss the mark like this. And so it was never just like, "Oh boy, there's presents under the tree." And you're like, "Yeah, okay. Like, thank you. I'm sure that there are." It's like, "Oh, there's some." She gave me a dodgeball one time when I was like 15 or 16, like teenage. It was off. That's what it was. And so, and that super whiny privileged kid, I didn't get what I wanted for Christmas kind of stuff. But like the anticipation and all of the effort toward that Christmas Day moment just never really hit.
Gotcha.
That's it. So it hits at my house. It's fun. The kids love it. They all...
Well, that's what I was going to ask next. Like, is it worth it to you, or do you have any motivation to flip that for your kids so that it is something that they are... Because it's... whatever. It is what it is. Some people really want Christmas to be a thing. Some people don't care so much about it. But is it something that you want your kids to look forward to, enjoy? You know what I mean? Like, rather than just carrying forward what you had and the way that it was presented in your family, is there something about that you want to change for your kids?
I don't want to openly be a humbug to them. Like, it's something that they're excited about. They ask, like, oh, man, are we going to decorate the outside? Because our neighbors decorate. People across the street have a beautiful Christmas arrangement. My neighbor has one that's pretty good looking. And have you seen the show An Idiot Abroad?
No.
It's a Stephen Merchant and the other guy that co-created The Office.
Gervais?
Yeah, Ricky Gervais. So Ricky Gervais has a show where he has this humdrummy kind of friend, and he just like sends him on a tour of the world because he knows he's going to be miserable, and he just wants to laugh at him. And so they went to Petra, that place in Jordan that was Last Crusade, where they go in to go get... It's a big castle thing that's carved into the rock. And the guy was there, and he was like, I mean, it's nice and all, I guess. He's like, but if you had the money to do all that, why would you do that? He's like, I would rather be the guy with the shack living across the street. Every day I get to wake up and like, oh man, look at that thing. That thing is beautiful. He's like, so the guy to be is the guy in the shack. And so now with all the people around me with their beautiful Christmas displays, I'm like, it's good to be the guy in the shack. I get to see all of these beautiful lights rather than me put them up.
Funny thing, when you put up Christmas lights, it's usually not for you.
Apparently it's for my kids.
Or for the people across the street.
Yeah. I guess I would.
I mean, I'm not saying that you have to do that for other
across the
people,
street.
but it is a thing. If you enjoy being the person in the hut across the street, you could provide something to the person in the hut across the street.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but you know. So
I don't know what that is.
I decided this year because, you know, it's been a weird year for the kids. They're all doing well with school and everything, but it's been just weird. And we can't control so much of what's happening this year. We've missed out on so many different things. We absolutely can control Christmas and what goes on in and on our house. So I was like, we're going to start early. We're going to decorate. We usually wait till Thanksgiving weekend, you know, the weekend after, and start putting stuff up. And it takes me a week or two to get everything up. And I don't do a whole lot. But this year it was like, I'm ordering new lights for the front. We're going to cover the bush in those net things that I've never actually bought, and I want to try it. We're going to do that. And we're going to put icicles hanging on the front of the house, and they're going to be different colors, and they're going to change. And I'm going to do it. And we put up the decorations inside the house like a week early. I'm like, we're listening to Christmas music every day. We're only watching Christmas movies from now on until New Year's. Like, we're doing Christmas, and everybody's going to love it. And you know what?
You're going to have a good time.
Yeah, they're loving it. And I'm loving it too. It's nice to like intentionally say, we are going to do all of the stuff that's mostly nostalgia at this point. You know, the things that we remember, the things that we look forward to visually. We're going to do all that. And then when it comes time for actual Christmas, we're going to like really lean into it, spend the day in our pajamas, and do all of the canonical Christmas stuff, you know, both the tradition and the stuff around our faith. And I don't know, like I just really wanted to lean into it because there's so much we can't control this year. That's absolutely something we can. I mean, I've always really enjoyed Christmas. Christmas was a lot of fun growing up around our house. It was always the same decorations. It was never overboard or anything like that. But like, we always had, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but the Star Wars Christmas album, the Christmas in the Stars is what it's called. We had it on vinyl growing up. And if you've never heard of this, it's a record that is kind of difficult to find now because they don't make it. They never made a digital copy of it. But it's a series of songs from Santa's workshop where apparently R2-D2 and C-3PO live. Something.
In their off time?
I don't know. They're in the workshop, and there's elves and stuff. And it's super cheesy, super goofy. Lots of songs. One is about, like, what do you get a Wookiee for Christmas?
No.
And when he already has a comb. That's the song. It's super cute. It just, like, warms my heart thinking about that. Because I listen to it every year in the weeks coming up to Christmas. And so, like, stuff like that, I just want to put those things in. So when my kids in 10 years or when 20 years when they have their own kids, and they see that thing or they hear that thing, and it just reminds them of, oh, remember that crazy 2020 year that we had? Whole year was wrecked, and like we didn't get to play soccer, and we didn't get to do this, and we didn't get to do that, but man, what a Christmas that was. Like that's what I want them to take away. And if I can do that, if I can set that up to happen, I'm doing it. So
well, you got me, sir. That's motivating.
well, good.
Because my wife feels the same way. Like, we've been watching Christmas movies, which are really fun. She would watch Elf every day
Yeah.
if she had nothing else to do. There's Christmas music playing. My son is learning the piano like your kids, and he's just played like the fancy version of Jingle Bells, like Schroeder from Charlie Brown.
Nice.
Yeah, I was really, really proud of him. I have to play music at church this week, and it's like to an empty crowd, and it's being recorded. Mm-hmm. But half of the set are Christmas songs.
Oh.
And so I have to, like, not learn, but kind of learn the Christmas songs and then learn the music to Christmas songs. One of them is a Dustin Kindrew version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good.
Which I think is pretty great.
Yeah.
Our church is rocking out the lead singer from Thrice's version of a Christmas song. Yep.
Awesome.
So it's not that I'm being worn down against some Ebenezer type chiseled exterior. It's all of the worth, my value I find for my effort is growing. It's growing more. And I totally agree that this year, like, there should be no reason not to. Yeah. That is value enough just to try to have a reprieve, just to give somebody some joy. And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's to just emulate and show joy to people when it's been nothing but kind of poop stains all over the year.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Not sure we can get away with that as a title or not, but might be
Make note.
worth a look. How long have we been going here? 48 minutes. Anything else you want to chat through? I say we take a vow not to talk about masks or people's reaction to masks or any of that stuff for the foreseeable future. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about that again, but it just came up because it's like
we could talk about vaccines,
but
we could talk about the election.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So many great topics to choose from.
Absolutely not.
Woo.
I got you something. You totally set me up for that. I did. It's not a Christmas present, but I did pick you up something the other day while we weren't recording last week. I had to go to Walmart to buy a thing for one of the projects that we were doing, which is coming out tomorrow. And they had a whole wall of models.
Okay.
Like the old school...
Cindy Crawford style?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like cars.
No. Thought you got me Cindy Crawford.
And I got me one, but I got you... I don't know if you want this or not, and if not, it's okay. But check it out.
Whoa! It's the Batmobile.
It's the Batmobile.
And it comes with a Batman.
Yeah.
Thank
It's like
you.
one of the old school models. It's nothing special, but I thought it was cool. They had like an entire island in the middle of the aisle with the old, what is this, AMT models, and there's a few other ones. I got the Ford GT.
Ooh.
One of my favorite cars of all time.
Really?
Yes. I love this car.
So was it sad whenever you saw the one cut in half?
No, it was awesome.
Oh, okay.
It was super cool. Yeah, and I know that this is going to be one of those things that I'm not going to paint, so it's never going to look like that. But
Ooh, is this model just black so I don't have to paint it?
Probably.
Great.
Anyway, models. I figured we'd do
Sweet.
models on
Thank
here,
you.
and they were on sale. And
Thank you for this lovely Christmas present that I get to share. Note my
I also
excitement.
got you a Charles in Charge sweatshirt. Just kidding. Found it at Goodwill.
Oh, man. Season 4 Speed Racer is not their best season, by the way.
Is it any different than Season 3 or Season 2 or Season 1?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the same episode over and over and over.
And so she got me that while I was deployed. And I think maybe that she was like, oh, maybe he just wants something to take his mind off, or maybe this will bring him some joy. I have never seen an episode of Speed Racer in my entire life, let alone seasons 1 through 3 that would necessitate season 4.
Yeah. Well, did you watch all of Season 4?
No.
Oh, man.
I watched a couple and went, this show is stupid.
What if it got really good, like halfway through Season 4?
And then it already had like a storyline with Racer X. I'm like, who's Racer X? They're like, he's his brother. I'm like, oh, okay, he's his brother.
I didn't know that. Oh, man.
Spoiler! When you start off in season 4, they're well established that it's his brother. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that might have been a plot point that might have been important. 1 through 3, but
I had no idea.
apparently they didn't care.
Yeah, I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes of it, and it was like the majority of that type of show to me was just like, this is the same one rehashed over and over and over, right?
Okay, my favorite Christmas memory,
Okay.
you talked about Star Wars stuff, has to do with this Batman model. At my grandmother's...
I nailed it.
Yeah, you did. So my grandmother's house in West Virginia, my grandfather, who recently passed away, we had one when I was a kid. So it was, this came out in 89?
Yeah, I think so.
So this was the first VHS tape that I ever owned because my grandma bought it for me that Christmas.
That's cool.
And we had it on VHS tape that we were all at my grandmother's house. And she did this thing where her Christmas tree, she purposely went out and found like a big twig. A tree with no leaves, not an evergreen tree, like just a dead-looking tree. Not even Charlie Brown's. Charlie Brown's had like a comb-over style set of needles on it. She's just like a big dead tree. And she brought it in the house, and she meticulously wrapped it in cotton balls to make it look like a tree that was covered in snow.
Huh.
And so I talk about effort and not wanting to put forth effort because of bleh. She painstakingly covered the skeleton of a tree in cotton balls, and it looked amazing. And I remember my dad, like, when I was younger, my dad was really silly like I am, and he had the VHS recorder, and I remember we watched it a couple times, like there's little me and little my brother, like I have my Ninja Turtles matching sweatshirt, sweatpants combo, and my brother got this, like, Huffy bike with pegs on it, which was super cool.
Nice.
And I got the 89 Michael Keaton Batman on VHS tape. And I remember that Christmas, like, because it was cool and because of the tree and because we had it on VHS and we would just, like, rewatch it.
Go back and re-see it.
Yeah. And, like, that one was really memorable because we had everybody there. It was, the cost-benefit ratio was really high. And so the Thanksgiving that we just got to have was kind of that moment for me. Like, we did a really big Thanksgiving meal for all of my family members that was there. We had a lot of really good conversation. We were there for a week. And so, like, it was super memorable. So all of that caution was worth the effort. And so this Christmas and for future Christmases, I'm going to try my best to ramp up my excitement earlier on to make it worth the effort.
Yeah, and that may be part of it, because maybe if you think about the effort and, like, the kind of return on that, if you're looking at it Christmas Day, it does seem kind of like, why go through all the trouble of even buying a tree, which was insanely expensive this year, by the way.
I'm surprised Kentucky doesn't have
Good
more
grief.
real tree farms.
But the effort of doing that and putting up all the decorations, if you're looking at it as that's all took for one day, then yeah. But if you look at it as it's a season,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it early enough to enjoy it, or for everybody else to enjoy it, or whatever the case is for the season, then, you know, maybe it plays out differently.
Yeah.
Or has a different, longevity to it.
I'm hoping next year we get to have the Christmas Eve party again. There have been a few people that surprisingly have asked me if we were doing it and that were sad that we weren't doing it. Your son being one of them. He cut me deep. Your youngest child asked me if we were having our thing, and I'm like I had to talk to Tiny Tim that, like, there's no presents on Christmas this year, little buddy. And then he just made a sad face and pouted off.
Yeah, he's fine. Cool. Well,
when is it? What day is it? It's the 9th. So we should have
yeah, we'll have
other
another
shows. At least one with Matt, and then something else maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, big thanks to the Maker Alliance,
Yeah,
because they're awesome.
got to talk to them yesterday.
And we did, and it was a really good time. You know what's funny? Okay, and I've said this before, but they asked me one time. We got on this meeting. I have this online go-to-meeting thing. And so you can get like 120 people in there at one time, which we don't have that many people.
Right.
But everybody's in there. And if I leave the meeting, then it shuts down. So when we always do the meeting, the hangout right before dinner. And so when the hangout's over, I got to go eat dinner with my family. And so I would always shut it out. And then one time I was getting ready to leave, and they were like, hey, would you mind just, like, leaving the thing open so we can, like, hang out a little bit longer while we're in here? Sure, no problem. So I just turn off my mic, my camera, and I go upstairs. And then I come down later on the night, and there's nobody there, and I turn it off. Well, last night, I went up and had dinner and came down an hour later. There were, like, 6 people in there still talking and hanging out.
Wow.
Went into the shop, did some stuff, went upstairs, put the kids to bed, came down about an hour later. There were still 4 people in there hanging out and talking. It was awesome. And then I did some stuff, and then they were all gone. But I just kind of peeked in and saw, like, oh, there's still people talking. Cool. And didn't eavesdrop because they didn't know I was there, so I didn't listen to what they were talking about. But
that Bob guy, let me tell you.
Anyway, that's super cool. It's a great group of people. And there's a lot of friendships forming there in that hangout on Discord. There's all of those people specifically, but a bunch of other people are also really active on Discord. So if you want to help out this show, what I Like to Make Stuff does in general, help out Brain Pick and all the other things that we put out all the time, you can go to iliketomakestuff.com/join. Join the Maker Alliance. Also, we put out exclusive merch for the Maker Alliance.
Anthony
recently.
just put out a video exclusive to the Maker Alliance, kind of a behind the scenes for the action props sequence that we did.
Yeah.
Which was quite funny.
Yeah.
Anthony makes funny videos of us doing silly things.
So if you want to join that, go for it. That'd be cool. You got anything else?
Nah, man.
All right. You know where to find us. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.